Alright, so I'm happy with this opening hand. At least one Scareclaw name, plus one of our Snatch Steals. We have Enemy Controller, and a Triple Tactics Thrust. So, playing against Kashtira again with the Pathfinder. Search the field spell, special the Unicorn, add Theosis. Theosis will special summon Fenrir. Fenrir search another Kashtira monster. So in this game, you guys will see I actually misplayed. I toggled off right at the end of the main phase and was not able to Nibiru, but as you'll see, it actually did not end up mattering. So Rise Heart will trigger the Shangri-Ira now. Special back the Fenrir. And now a Rise Heart. So this has been the pretty standard board. And it's a pretty solid board. Fenrir, a Rise Heart, Shangri-Ira. Drew a second Triple Tactics Thrust. Special out the Unicorn. So we're going to go Thrust right away for Change of Heart. So now we have 2 Steel cards. And we're going to take the Arise Heart before it has 3 materials. So now I'll attach. Now I have 3 materials and a Banish. So he's going to trigger both the Fenrir and the Unicorn. I'm going to trigger a Rise Heart to banish his Fenrir. And then I'm going to chain the enemy controller. Tribute his own Arise Heart. Take his Shangri-Ira now. And I'm going to make another Arise Heart on his Shangri-Ira. So he banishes Varone to floor, which is not a great choice. I mean, he didn't have much of an option. I have 2 Arise Heart in my extra deck, so I'm going to overlay using his Shangri-Ira. Now to the Scareclaw phase. And he'll scoop it up there. Alright, so we're going first here. They'll max C. That'll allow us to make our Thrust live. And I'm just going to pass on that. I'm not trying to let... I have Nibiru. I have double pop with the Twin Saw. I'm not trying to let them draw any more cards. So this is actually Makono, which I don't have a ton of experience playing against. It's been a difficult matchup for me because I haven't fully figured out the deck yet. So, okay, so he bounces back the Astra, which is going to turn off our Twin Saw now, unfortunately. And, yeah, so without anything on the field, and luckily the level 3 Scareclaws are all 0 attack, so he's not able to lethal by attacking into me. Unfortunately, Nibiru does nothing against this. They're not going to summon more than a couple times. But we'll go Lightheart, Field Spell for Reichheart. And we'll grab Defanging. They're going to target the Reichheart, which I don't think is a great play, but so they'll steal it. And we'll go Visas, Pop, bring back the Lightheart. Dark Ruler no more, so we're not going to take and reflect any battle damage from their Makono monsters. Yeah, so I'll destroy my own Reichheart, gain attack with Visas, and we take out the Makono, and their field is clear at this point, and we have a, you know, over 3k Visa Starfrost, plus a Twin Saw. And because of defanging, none of them could be destroyed by that Raigeki, but he does have a Lava Golem for the 2 monsters. So we'll take Lava Golem effect damage, no big deal. Banish for the Scareclaw Kashtira. We'll go into another Lightheart. Search another field spell. Another Reichheart. Reichheart grab Arrival. And then we're going to go for Triheart, plus Astra, plus Scareclaw Kashtira, which on an open field, that's lethal. So we grab the Reichheart for follow-up if needed, but double attack and game with Scareclaw Kashtira. Alright, so we're playing against Kashtira. Looks like they're playing the Pathfinder package, which I'm not a huge fan of. They'll go Unicorn to search Theosis. I will special summon. They're going to go Field Spell first. And honestly, Kashtira has been my favorite matchup. I feel the most confident, especially going second against Kashtira. As long as I have one of my Snatch Steal type cards, whether it be Change of Heart, Enemy Controller, or any of the Triple Tactics cards, usually feel pretty good going up against Kashtira. So, yeah, he used the Rise Heart to trigger the Shangri-Ira, lock up the zone. That is probably the wrong zone to lock up against Scareclaw, but obviously he doesn't know that. In general, I always choose to lock up the zone underneath the extra monster zone, but that's just me. So, making a second Shangri-Ira to summon the Arise Heart, so it'll have 3 materials now. Yep, we're going to draw a second field spell, which is really unfortunate. But we'll go with Thrust, because Shangri-Ira activated to grab our evenly matched. And as you would assume, he's going to keep the Arise Heart. Now, he definitely this player definitely misplays here. Change of Heart, I'm thinking he's going to banish his own Arise Heart, but he chooses to banish my Change of Heart, I'm assuming, so that he's thinking it'll only have 2 materials, not knowing that I play 2 Arise Hearts actually in my extra deck, so I'm going to summon my own over his. Now we still have our normal summon. I didn't necessarily have to do this because I have both field spells in my hand. I only play 2, but I wanted to have at least 2 Scareclaws on the field, and I wanted Rykart to search for the Twin Saw. With 2 cards in hand, I figured Twin Saw, Double Pop, and a Rise Heart Banish should be enough to deal with whatever sort of plays he tries to come up with here. So, Pot of Extravagance, he doesn't get the greatest options there, but that is a pretty good draw. I misplay a little bit here. I should have sucked up one of his other Kashtiras that were face-up banished. So he grabs Necro Valley. Now I grab the Fenrir, realizing that I misplayed a little bit there, because he's able to now bring out the Unicorn, search for another Theosis. So now my Rise Heart activates, and I'm going to chain the Twin Saw to pop both of these, knowing that he's already used the Birth, and that Unicorn and Ogre will get their effects because my Arise Heart activated. So that opens up his field to special summon another Kashtira if he had it in his hand, but I still have the Arise Heart Banish, and I'm sucking up all of his face-up Banish Kashtira, so at that point he just scoops, and we win. So we'll Maxi, this is Dragon Link. They have the Ash for the Maxi, that's fine. I'm happy with Thrust in hand and the Kashtira field spell, which I never see in my hand, but as long as I have that, plus a Fenrir, and like I said, one of the Snatch Steal cards, I'm usually pretty confident. So banish their own Rocket for the Baldrake. Now Romulus to search the Dragon Ravine. Absorrouter, and they're going to search another Rocket Tracer. Boot Sector Launch. Okay, Triple Burst Dragon, so that now the Pisty can summon something to that zone. Baldrake. I'm sorry, Druid Worm. Now, using all of those for the Coral End Dragon. Coral End will target his own Rocket, bring back the other level 4. So this player goes for Chaos Ruler now, and I'll be honest, if he went for Borreload Savage here, I might not have been able to play through this, but his mills, or whatever you want to call it, are pretty bad. He draws, or he chooses to take the Gamma, which is turned off because he has cards on his field. So field spell will search Fenrir. Fenrir activate. He's going to target Fenrir to negate. I try to activate again just to bait anything out. Thrust for Change of Heart. Change of Heart, I will take the Chaos Ruler because I can't target the Borland. Now we go for the Scareclaw plays. Search for Field Spell. Reichheart. We'll use those three for Tryheart. Bring back Astra, search for the Scare Cache. Straddle is our best out for most big monsters like Borland, but the Scareclaw Kashtira is also insane in the battle phase, completely negating the Borland, which wouldn't have been able to be destroyed by battle, and it would be the only card that I could attack. Plus the Defanging, banishing the Druid's Worm, so that can't activate to send my Tryheart. Yeah, we go for lethal there. Alright, we're going second here against Mathmech. Have not seen really any of this deck in the Duelist Cup or just in ranked in general in a while. A Riseheart kind of shuts down this deck. The Bestials prior to that were really hurting this deck, I think, so... but this person seems to be a committed Mathmech player. They're still running the deck. They make some pretty good plays here. Well, I should say pretty standard plays. We're going to set up most likely the Factorial. Which actually would be a decent amount of interruption. Luckily, we drew our one of Dark Ruler No More, but we do run 3 Triple Tactics Thrust to search that out, so in a way you could say 4 copies of that. Okay, so a little Heat Soul to draw. Effect Veiler on the Fenrir. That definitely hurts a little bit, because now we can't even go battle phase and just try to solo with Fenrir. Maxi, also unfortunate, and now the Super Factorial. He probably should have waited on that. But either way, so he's going to be able to send one from the field and one from the hand. He hits our Dark Ruler. Fenrir, I don't know why I activated that. I knew he was negated. Arrival for Acro, he's going to negate. But I do have the Scareclaw Kashtira in the hand. This card, Scareclaw Kashira, has been a godsend for this deck, just made it so much more viable. That plus the Twin Saw alone have made this deck a huge threat in Master Duel, I think. So we'll search for another Arrival. Use all 3 for our Tryheart. And we're actually gonna lethal here, believe it or not. Bring back the Acro, Astra. He'll droll now, which doesn't do anything. We'll bring back the Kashtira, which, something interesting I learned just through playing Astra plus Scareclaw Cash on an open field is just lethal alone. That's another reason why that card has been so great. So, alright, so he'll scoop it up before we go for lethal. Alright, so in this replay, I was still running Droll. I took Droll out because I believe... Yeah, Droll has to be sent to the graveyard, so seeing a lot of Kashtira, obviously, in the Duelist Cup, Ash is just a better option. Ash does not have to be sent to the graveyard, you just discard it. So the Arise Heart would shut off cards like Droll and other hand traps that have to be sent to the graveyard specifically. But we're actually going first here, which I've been choosing to go second a lot in the Duelist Cup. Mainly for that reason. Like I said, I've been facing a lot of Kashtira, and with the going second cards, you know, Snatch Steal type cards that I've been playing, it's just been much more favorable to go second. I was also running Book of Eclipse still, so I set that here. I cut Droll and Book of Eclipse for an extra enemy controller, and I think I put Ash back in, or maybe an extra Ash. But I'll show you guys the full deck profile at the end of the replays, obviously. So we are going up against Kashtira. We'll flip these both face down, so he cannot use them for Xyz material. And he sets one pass. Now, interesting thing though, Droll comboed up with the Book of Eclipse does not allow your opponent to draw off of that Book of Eclipse effect, which was actually really cool. I was not doing that on purpose, but that was a nice side effect. Okay, so he'll banish a Lightheart. We'll bring back the Scareclaw Kashtira. And I'm just going to go for an access code lethal play here. And access code for game. Alright, not the greatest hand. So D-Shifter, this is either Flu or... I'm thinking at this point it's Flaunderies because playing the pot cards and D-Shifter, I think this ends up being Kashira again. Yep, so Birth, Rise Heart. Bring back the Unicorn. He'll probably search Theosis. Yep. Special Fenrir. Fenrir search for another Kashtira. Scareclaw. And so Shangri and Fenrir pass. So we're going to Ash that just so he doesn't bring out anything else that will activate off of our Fenrir effect. I want to basically try to either trade Fenrir for Fenrir and then take his Shangri-Ira. We're just going to go straight for it. Take the Shangri-Ira. Yep. And they will scoop up there. Alright, so as promised, here's my updated Scareclaw deck profile. This is the final version I ran for the majority of the Duelist Cup, which ultimately took me to Duelist level max. Similar to my main core that I usually run playing Scareclaw, except now with the addition of some of the new cards, running a larger Kashtira package, that is, with 2 Fenrir, 2 of the Scareclaw Kashtira, 1 of the Kashtira field spell. As far as the level 3 Scareclaws go, in my opinion, Astra is the best. So I'm running 3 Astra and 2 of the others. I have multiple reasons for that. As I spoke about in some of the replays, Astra plus the Scareclaw Kashtira on an open field is lethal damage alone with your Tri-Heart, obviously. And as far as the other level 3s go, Acro boosts up your Tri-Heart, which is nice, but I'm running the Straddle because I just believe that's better to go for lethal damage and basically make your Tri-Heart not able to be swung over even by the likes of like an access code talker or something like that. And in the case where if you're not going for game I would rather have Astra with multiple attacks to just clear all my opponent's defense position monsters and at least clear the board in order to make it harder for my opponent to have any sort of follow-up. This deck is very good going second, but I built it in a way that you could go first and still set up a decent board. That's in part thanks to the new Scareclaw Twin Saw, new to Master Duel that is, which is just such a great extra interruption that if you are going first, I would typically search that with the Reichart to be able to pop 2 cards on our opponent's turn. And then also you get the follow-up of banishing that from your graveyard if they're going to try to summon some link monsters to out your Tryhard. In terms of going second, I opted to play more board breakers rather than hand traps, so a little bit strange, but you're going to see 2 Ash, 2 Maxi. I guess Nibiru you could consider a hand trap as well as a board breaker. Nibiru felt pretty bad sometimes, obviously against certain matchups. It's great. Then I'm running 3 triple tactics thrust. Our targets for that are obviously the Talent, Dark Ruler No More, Change of Heart, and Harpy's Feather Duster. So with Change of Heart and 2 enemy controller, we're playing 3 steel cards, 3 monster steals, and those cards, as you probably noticed from some of the replays, basically won me multiple games alone, especially in the Kashtira matchup, because as you can see, we're running 2 Arise Heart in our extra deck. I cut the Arrival down to 2. I was playing it at 3 in my like pure Scareclaw early builds when this deck first released in Master Duel. The card is still incredible. It's a Monster Reborn, not once per turn. But in order to incorporate the Twin Saw, I also cut the counter trap because, like I said, I was majority of the time choosing to go second. As far as the extra deck goes, I would say you have probably 3 flex spots in here. I think you could take out I was playing around with different Xyz monsters or maybe an extra Link instead of the Break Sword. Never came up. I never summoned this card throughout the whole cup. Chaos Angel, I think is fine. It's definitely in like a grindier sort of game. If you can get to your Visas plus a Reichart, that could end out, help you close out a game. And Chang Ying never really came up. My thought process was with the Kashtira decks running rampant, there would be a lot of cards getting banished and things of that nature. But Kashira Riseheart was the MVP of this deck. Zeus came up maybe once or twice, won me a couple games. But as I said many times, Kashira was actually the most favorable matchup. I never minded going up against them. As I said previously, especially going second with either a Change of Heart, an Econ, and like a Fenrir, that alone was usually enough to break the board, and I would have enough to go for game next turn. I only played against a handful throughout the Duelist Cup, but I would say the hardest matchups were actually branded. I only played against 2 branded players. I lost both games to them, actually. And other than that, Labyrinth, this deck can struggle with back row decks, spells and traps, able to destroy your Tryhards or your Kashtira monsters, things of that nature. But other than that, this deck really allowed me to climb very quickly through the Duelist Cup. So I'm looking forward to now taking this into ranked and seeing what we can do. That's going to wrap up this video. Thank you guys if you watched this far. Please consider subscribing, and we will catch you in the next one.